Balls.
Welcome to my little corner of this great big crazy world.
Hello, and welcome to a Monday Cory's Corner. I know it seems kind of rare that we do these now. It's kind of crazy. It's just crazy. Oh my gosh. I had so much fun doing woo-woo shit on Saturday, I figured we'd do another round of it. And a lot of you might be like, well, isn't this just a rehash from Dark Philosophy? Kind of, but not so much. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. I, of course, am Cory from Toxalot Entertainment, otherwise known as Sir Toxalot. I would also just like to say thank you all for watching this, either on the replay or live. I hope you're all having a wonderful day, regardless of where and how you're watching this, either whether it's on Rumble or YouTube. Thank you very much. And of course, if you would like to support the channel, make sure you hit the Ko-Fi link in the description and live chat. That being said, it's weird having a day off on a Monday. It is. I don't have to go anywhere or do anything today, and it's really strange. Like, this is what I got going on. Like this, and after I'm done with this, I'm going to record a new song. But other than that, like, and of course, Dick's News tonight and Meltdown. That works. As you can see, I'm wearing my Geeks and Gamers hat that's signed by Jeremy and Ryan. And this was the Nerdrotic Sasquatch pin, but I broke it because that's just kind of how I am. Hail to Nate D over in the chat. What's up, buddy? Glad to see you. Always great to have another D in the chat, of course. What is up, my homie? Yeah. I am looking forward to recording this new song that I'm working on. I've been working on it pretty hard for almost a month now, just practicing and getting everything down and working on inflections and stuff, vocal inflections, for really nailing the delivery on stuff. You know what I mean? I will give you guys a hint, though. It's a follow-up song to Sins of a Collective Mind, which if you haven't seen yet, go check out the video section of Toxalot Entertainment, where you'll find mostly music at this point. I haven't released any produced content in a while. And I know I said I was going to, but life happens and motivation dies sometimes. You're just like, bro. Motivation, and of course, as an adult, I get busy adulting. So, holy shit, right? But that's what I get for being a part-timer on YouTube. I mean, when you're a part-timer on YouTube, you're a part-timer because you can't dedicate all of your time to it. Just saying. Nate D says, trigger warning is my favorite. That was a fun song to make. For those of you who haven't seen that one, that's the most offensive rap song I've ever written, I believe. Maybe. Except for trolling, maybe. Either way, go check those out. Both here and on Cory Music Channel, which is basically stagnated because I don't put anything on it anymore. Because Toxalot Entertainment, as an entertainment brand, should probably have all the forms of entertainment that I make, right? All that shit in one place. But then people are all like, oh, well, if you diversify too much, then you don't have a dedicated audience base. And I'm like, my dedicated audience base is typically here on the live streams. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. It's a great time. It is a great time. Wonderful time. I would like to say, if any of the Dick's Division members are watching this right now, you're a dick. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's in the name, right? Right. Good talk. Anyway, so reality, of course, is kind of a rehash discussion on our channel, especially under the guise of woo-woo shit. If you watched Dark Philosophy, then you know we talked briefly about this in the past. But it seems like more and more people are losing touch with actual reality. So we kind of need to talk about, like, what is reality? Is it what we perceive? Is it how we process those perceptions? Is it physical reality that we have that's all you see? Is there more to it? Who actually knows? But let's be honest, there's a lot of people out there who don't know what any type of reality is. The first example that pops into my mind is kind of an old one, but it's all those people who thought Wakanda was a real place. I mean, what? That it's just a prime example of losing touch with reality in today's crazy ass world. Because if Wakanda was a real place, guess what? We'd have fucking found it already. I hate to tell you people, but the colonizers would have found it by now. Just saying. And anyone who says Wakanda lives on in every black heart, I'm going to say if you have a black heart, you probably need to go to the doctor. Just saying, because your heart's supposed to be red. Just saying. Just saying. Landrigan says, "Hail, Cory and chat. Hail, Landrigan. This is a prime opportunity to point out that he misspells my name every time. But I don't really care. I'm called Cody by some. So the E in my name, putting an E in my name, not a big deal. My uncle called me Cody for 30 years until he died. So it doesn't bother me that much. But anyway, when you're dealing with reality, a lot of people are like, oh, well, reality can be whatever you want. And it's like, no. He says, oops. Oops. It was just a prime opportunity for me to give you some shit, buddy. I'm going to mute my phone so it doesn't go off. And yeah. He says, I don't know why I did it that time. It doesn't really matter, bro. It really doesn't matter. Most people who have the name Cory spell it with an E. Well, their parents spelled it with an E, and therefore they have an E in their name. I'm one of those special people I'm a guy that got the girl version of Cory without the K or the I or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, so modern day is plagued by the reality is what I want it to be, people, right? I'm a kitty. No, you're not. I'm a dog. No, you're not. I'm a woman. No, you're not. Reality is literally reality-based, like Ryan Roger Athey. All right? Just to put it simply, reality is things that you can see, hear, touch, smell, feel, things like that actually have direct influence on your life. And I know that's kind of oversimplifying what reality is, but let's be honest, that's the gist of reality. If it's something you made up in your brain and can't hard proof it within a physical existence, then it's probably not reality. Now, I say this as a Christian, and a lot of people will be like, oh my gosh, he's contradicting himself. That's a discussion for another time. Okay? Because spiritual reality is a weird concept. Okay? It's a weird concept to explore. I have my beliefs, you have yours, and there we go. But when it comes down to actual reality, like we have to look at the groups of people who aren't in touch with actual reality. And the two primary groups that come to mind are celebrities and politicians. And the third one that just popped in there is influencers on the internet. These people actively try to change reality to fit what their idea is of reality. And I've got really bad news for them. That's not how it works. Okay? Like a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, why don't homeless people just buy a house?" Well, I got news for you. The reality is they're homeless because society is not a good place for them most of the time. That's reality. Oh my gosh, why don't they just get food? Most people don't have the means to cook food. And if they buy food that they don't have to cook, it's usually expensive. Especially if you're a homeless person. The reality of a homeless person is very different than the reality of a fucking multi-million-dollar millionaire celebrity individual, right? Like, drastically different. You know, there's a disconnect there that we need to explore. All right. Nate D says most homeless have severe mental illness. That's true. I would argue that most celebrities have severe mental illness as well. Because they're not normal people. They hardly operate within normal operating parameters of the human mind. Look at Kanye West. And the problem there is the homeless people, mental illness or not, have a reality that is hard. They have a reality that pretty much hates them. And they have a reality that they don't feel like they can escape from. Celebrities, on the other hand, have a reality that allows them to live beyond the means of any type of normal person, thus making their reality somewhat more grandiose than other people's. The problem with that is, of course, that they lose touch with what it actually means to be a fucking human being. Shit. Look at Ezra Miller. The Rock. I'll just go out and say The Rock. He's not exactly normal. Okay. And their disconnect with reality comes from the idea that their money, their power, and their influence allows them to do whatever the fuck they want. Which, of course, goes back to the old adage that rich people can do whatever the fuck they want. Because when the punishment for a crime is money or a fine, to put it in proper terms, then it's only a crime for the poor. Otherwise, it's an entrance fee or cover charge, if you will. Now, when you're thinking about reality, actual reality, you can understand why people want to escape from it so much, especially into the worlds of entertainment. Now, the problem with that is when a person decides they want to escape actual reality for too long, they start to lose touch with things that are actually real. My example of this would be porn. I'm not supposed to say that. I'm not monetized. Fuck it. Let's be honest. Porn, in general, is an extreme disconnect from reality and the actual reality of physical relationships. You know what I mean? Nate D says, if they're poor, they call them crazy. If they're rich, it's just eccentric. Yep, money makes all the difference in the world for those labels. It really does. Plain and simple. I'm eccentric, but don't have money. So does that make me crazy? Perhaps. But moving back to the porn discussion and reality, it is one of the easiest ways to disconnect from reality because it fucks with a whole bunch of biological and mental processes that we kind of need to function every day, right? It fucks with your adrenal system. It fucks with your entire endocrine system. Let's be honest. It can change your physical health in various ways. Jury's still out on that one. Whether or not wanking is good for your health or not, I don't really care. But porn detaches us from realities and then fucks up actual relationships. Because people that watch too much porn think that that's how it's going to be when they get laid. Over on the Rumble side, we've got Mass Grave. I forgot to zoom in. He says, you're kind of crazy, Cory. Yeah, I know. I know that, bro. I mean, I will openly admit that I am a little crazy. But without my personal brand of craziness, I probably would not have made it this far. You know what I mean? Excuse me. Because you kind of have to be a little crazy in order to deal with reality. Because if you're not, then you wind up just taking everything so seriously and internalizing it to the point that it stresses you out and you have a fucking heart attack at 40, or you have a stroke, or you decide that the bottle is your best friend and Jim will carry you through with his bee. Anyway. Oh, see, he says you should reread that. It says you're our kind of crazy, Cory. Well, that's good. That's good. That just goes to that entire conversation that I just had basically with myself. It highlights what I was talking about and his point. I'm crazy. It happens. But apparently I'm your kind of crazy. So thank you for joining us. But everyone should know I never read something correctly the first time I read it. Yes, voice actor, but that's why we have why we have takes and stuff. You know? But anyway, you know, another thing that really disconnects people from reality. Hail to Josiah Robinson. He says, I'm more than just a little crazy, but oddly enough, it keeps me sane. That's actually a really interesting thing to say, and it's a good point. You have to be crazy in order to enjoy life. Period. Because if you take everything at face value, it's stressful, stupid, overwhelming, and not in the least bit enjoyable. Plain and simple. But hail to Josiah Robinson with your awesome comment. But another thing that really disconnects people from reality is a lack of consequence for their chosen behaviors, which is, by the way, the norm these days. No consequences for your behavior unless you're normative, heteronormative, whatever you want to call it, blah, blah, blah. Everybody else gets scot-free unless you're a fully functional male. I won't even throw race in there because I've seen a lot of black people get fucked for being a sane, straight guy. And my brain just broke. Stream brain. Yay! So stupid. I think I just killed my last 2 brain cells.
Friends, I have killed one of God's most innocent and intelligent creatures. And I liked it.
Yeah. Hail to Zombie Box Reviews. What's up, buddy? What is up? But you literally can't focus on every little detail of your life all the time either. Like, there's a reason perfectionists are prone to so many mental disorders and physical disorders over time, because they try so hard that they get stressed out and then they fucking break down. And that's one of the things about reality that we have to be able to manage, is the fact that reality in real life, actual reality, is stressful. It sucks. But we do the best we can with what we have. A great thing about reality is that we have a way to escape it through entertainment, through learning, through vacations, which me and my wife have decided is a completely made-up word. But, well, all words are made up, but you know what I mean. It's just not a thing that happens. Okay? Like, all you people, like, vacation is along the same line as Santa Claus. It's not real. But anyway, we can escape reality a little bit, but we can't lose touch therewith. Hey, he says, it's nice to catch this live for once. It's great to have you here live. Honestly. It's fantastic. See, a lot of us, especially in our sphere of the internet, our little corner of people, rely on entertainment to help us decompress, to help us escape from actual reality. The problem I've seen with entertainment is that there's a lot of people who apparently have like pygmyism of the prefrontal cortex or something, and they can't really figure out the fact that entertainment is not real. Even the based on a true story stuff, based on a true story, artistic license was taken. And we know why this is, because if entertainment was 100% reality based and 100% based on everything that would actually happen within a given situation, we would have 19-hour-long movies and they'd be boring as fuck. Every 10 minutes, the characters would be going to the bathroom. They'd be like, I'm hungry. I need to lay down. And we would just not be into it, right? So certain aspects of reality are boring as fuck, okay? And that's why we don't include them in our media. The problem is when people start assuming that the media is, in fact, representative of real life. Because if it was representative of real life, I'd be able to fly. I would have mad kung fu powers. I would be able to summon some crazy magic stuff by waving my arms around in a specific circular pattern. Like, okay. And that ties a little bit into the woo-woo shit that is mysticism, the hoodoo, as we have previously dubbed it. Because I personally think that a lot of people who are into witchcraft and stuff probably got their inspiration from movies more so than reality. Okay, it's just a basic assumption that I'm going to make there. Okay, because something tells me that the Wiccan witch that lives 3 blocks down with her 15 cats probably isn't a part of some ancient witches' coven that, has been handing down the secrets of the mystics' dark arts for centuries. I fucking doubt it. This is a person who needs something to boost themselves up, and so they detached from reality to attach to something that justifies their negative, weak-minded emotional states. And yes, I'm directly attacking Wiccans. Why? Because they're fucking stupid. Wicca, whatever. Fucking dumb. And a lot of these things crop up because people can't handle their reality, the actual reality that they live in. Okay? In some cases, I get it. Like if you're an individual who lives in an abusive home or you're getting your ass kicked all the time at school or whatever, you might need to detach so you can maintain some semblance of sanity, which I totally get, but it's not a sustainable approach. All right, we have to stay based in reality like Ryan Roger Athay in order to maintain some form of actual sanity. Now, there's a lot of theories, as I said in the description, regarding what reality actually is. Whether it's literally what you see is what you get, and then you die, and then nothing happens. Or if there's something more to it, where there's a spiritual realm to where we're all actually living this life towards a different means. Zombie Box Review says, Wiccans, huh? I hope Stephen Walton isn't watching this stream. I don't really give a fuck. That's my belief towards Wiccans. If he doesn't like it, I don't give a shit. That's what everybody should know. Okay? And if this makes you stop watching the stream right now, then that's fine. Okay? But let's be honest. I will give you the reality of my feelings towards other people's opinions. And it's summed up in a fun little word. Dilligaff. Do I look like I give a fuck? Dilligaff? Dilligaff. I mean, if I cared about other people's opinions, I probably wouldn't be here too much. Especially when it comes to their opinions of my personal views, because they're never going to change just because somebody gets a little upset. Besides, Walton is probably a little too busy fornicating in the forest with a fern. Just saying. Just saying. Zombie Box Review says that's fair. Probably to the fact that I don't give a shit more so than, yeah. But anyway, more than Walton gotten his dick stuck in a tree knot somewhere. Anyway, ZombieBox laughs his ass off. Hail to low-spec Linux laptop. What's up, buddy? But, if reality is what you see is what you get, then that's a really depressing thought for a lot of different people. To use modern buzzword terminology, it would be they're not happy with being NPCs, right? Like, most people can't accept the fact that their life isn't actually going to lead up to some historical, moving, monumental, influential stance. A lot of people can't handle that. And the bad news for them is these very simple fact that not everyone is a main character, okay? I don't think I'm a main character in any way. Let's be honest. I'm just some dude sits out in Colorado talking to a tube, hoping that the people on the other end of the screen can hear me. That's my reality right there. ZombieBox Reviews says we're just cogs in a much larger machine. Yes, a lot of different machines, if you want to be honest. All right, we're each cogs in a local infrastructure. We're each cogs in a grander national infrastructure, if you will, and then the world-based infrastructure. We have social circles that we have to be able to function in, and et cetera, et cetera. Massgrave says, we need an NPC Cory meme. Well, if you can get the dead eyes right, it'd be perfect. But I don't think that a lot of people accept reality because there's this small nagging voice in the back of their head saying that they were meant for more, which is a great voice to be able to have and listen to and stuff. I'm not going to lie. It's good to have dreams and aspirations. But once again, you have to keep it reality-based. Because if it's not a realistic idea of what your life is, you're always going to be disappointed. You know what I mean? Like, if you expect to achieve greatness by the time you hit 40, unless you're a Nepo baby, you're probably not going to see that kind of achievement. So you have to keep things in perspective of your station. And I'm not trying to be classist here, but let's be honest. Most people who want the reality of a star, of a celebrity, aren't willing to put forth the effort and the work required to achieve that. So their reality is stuck in the daydreaming phase. And so they daydream and then they never achieve, right? Because their reality is stuck in their head more so than it is in their lived life experiences. We see this with a lot of trenders, as my friend Jason Fox would say. A lot of them don't live in a reality that is factually based. And therefore, the results are dissonance. They don't like the way their brain handles things. They don't like the way life treats them. It's society's fault. Reality check, bitch. It's your fault for not actually putting in the effort to achieve what you want to achieve. And if you're putting in effort to achieve something that is unachievable, such as making me accept the fact that Ron is now Rhonda, then you're literally following delusional thoughts and you're insane. Because unless you can effect change towards a set goal, then it's madness to achieve it. And in order to effect that change, you have to be motivated to do so. And in order to be motivated to do so, you have to be able to believe you can do it. And if you believe you can do it, you need to have the internal drive to actually achieve it, following the steps. But guess what? Most people don't have that these days. Most people think and expect, especially in certain generations like mine, and like the millennials, I should say, and then Gen Z, Gen Alpha, all these people think life should hand them shit. And if we're being honest, life never hands you anything but shit. See what I did there? Yeah. It's a pretty cool illustration, huh? I think reality is a strange combination of the physical world that we experience, interacting with the perceptions thereof, resulting in the outcome of either disappointment or success, all of which is moderated by the amount of effort you're actually willing to put into your life. Kind of weird. Poop. Yes, low spec. Poop. Now, if you're an individual who struggles with reality, and I'm not talking about an individual who suffers from psychotic delusions or general psychosis, like any type of psychosis. Zombie box, you broke my brain again. Every time I see this chat thing move, my brain just goes, huh? And then it loses where it was at. So we're just going to read this comment. He says, always put in the work to achieve your life goals. And even if it doesn't pan out the way you would like, at least you gave it your all. Indeed. That goes straight back to what one of my favorite stories / quotes from Jim Carrey, more specifically his dad. And that's, fail at what you love doing and be happy rather than succeed at what makes you miserable. And Zombie Box says, I respect those who actually try. I do too. And that's where we have to face one small aspect of reality. And it deals directly with nepotism. No matter how much you try, no matter how much effort you put forth, if there is someone related to that individual in any way, shape, or form, and I'm not talking like familial relations necessarily, but like friend of a friend kind of thing, you're always going to get fucked. When you get fucked, the important part of that is to not give up. Because that's another thing that I see in today's reality is the fact that people are way too willing and fucking ready to give up at the slightest fucking inconvenience. When I started to become an actor, voice actor, okay, I had to become comfortable with the fact that I was going to get 2,000 rejections to the one acceptance. All right? Rejection is a part of life. And if your reality is hinged on being accepted, you're fucked. I don't know how else to put that. You have to accept the fact that you're going to fail far more often than you are going to succeed. If your entire idea of reality is based on that you always have to succeed, you're in for a world of fucking trouble. Because the reality is, failure is a universal trait. It affects everyone, everywhere, everything, everywhere. Failure happens. And the reality of today is the fact that most people can't accept their own failings. It has to be somebody else's fault. And in my opinion, that's delusional. Because you have to be able to recognize your own fault in your own failings and your own successes. You can't chalk it up to external sources every time. And you can't have mixed bags, okay? You can't say everything I achieve and succeed at is my doing, and everything I fail at is somebody else's fault. That's literally a fucking delusion, okay? That's discounting your own, effect that you have on your own life, all right? 80% of the time when you fail is your own fucking fault. That's the reality of the situation. And you have to be able to accept that in order to function in reality, actual reality. If you can't accept that, get a lobotomy. Those are still widely accepted as proven methods, right? Maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? Who knows? Another problem with today's reality is a lot of people think that Twitter, Facebook, and all these other places is real life. All right. Especially in the younger generations. They're like, oh my gosh, it's on here. It has to be real. Oh my gosh. And it's just not how life works. All right. Social media, YouTube included, rarely reflects actual reality. All right. It either accentuates a specific aspect of reality. Like if you look at Facebook, everybody's lives are so great. Oh my gosh. I got news for you. That house mom that posts all her kids' achievements and stuff drinks 4 bottles of wine a day because she can't fucking handle the fact that she is a failure in her own life. Damn, that sucks. The same goes for Twitter. Okay. X. A lot of people get wrapped up in the political discourse of Twitter, regardless of whether it's in entertainment or personal life or blah, 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 blah. And they think that that's reality, that generalizes the experience of everyone in the world. And generalizing is a dangerous thing to do, regardless of where you are or what you're doing. Because if you generalize, then you exclude not only outliers and exceptions to said rules, but you exclude any proof towards fallacy. Because you get confirmation bias, you get false generated social evidence, social proof, to dumb it down. And you have a false increase or an increase in false competence, not confidence, but competence. People think they know more than they actually do, or that they're smarter than they actually are. And then that affects their reality into thinking like, oh, I'm always right, or oh my gosh, I'm the smartest person in the room, etc. Oh my gosh. And that really fucks with people's lives. Okay. Because that leads to the idea that if you're always right online, then you're never wrong in life. You see the obvious shit that could cause. Over on the Rumble side, Massgrave says, leave those single moms alone. Lord knows I do. Yeah, everyone should leave those single moms alone, especially the Facebook and Twitter moms that are like, oh my gosh, I need a guy that's 6'2", makes 7 figures a year, etc., etc. Don't bother with those people. All right. She's 600 pounds and has diabetes. She's about to lose both feet. You shouldn't waste your time with her. Anyway. Bonjour. Christian Delorme. Vinyl Revival. Bonjour, everyone. Sorry I am late. It's all good, bro. What up? Welcome. Welcome to the show. Just talking some shit about reality. You know how it is. Social media is has one of the biggest negative impacts on reality that I've ever seen. Because, the internet is this wealth of information and disinformation. So we see a lot of deep fake videos and people think that they're real. And that fucks with reality. Excuse me. If people don't have all the facts, then their reality is only partial. But the reality of that situation is the fact that you'll never have all the facts. Unless, of course, you diligently search for the answers yourself. Oh my gosh. Laziness is one of the main reasons we're in this society that we live in today. Because people decided their reality needed to be far less effort-driven. And that changed their idea of what reality should be. Here in America and various other parts of the world, we used to have an outstanding belief that your reality is shaped by the effort that you put into it. So your reality could be $1 million mansion as a base. total. I know mansions cost way more than that. But if you decide that's worth the effort. But again, we're back to the laziness discussion of reality. And people approach everything lazily these days. Social media has aided that exponentially. Just saying. You have to actively reevaluate what reality is, or you lose touch with it. And that comes through the universal advice that I give every person everywhere, and that's question fucking everything. Question, test, retest, prove and or disprove, retest again, retest some more. Keep going. Question, question, question. Maybe this portion's right, but you got to question these details. You have to fucking do that. But that takes effort. And everybody knows that effort is not something people like to put forth. Deadpool's slogan is a lie. Maximum effort. Not in today's world, buddy. Yeah. I think the portion of reality that bugs me the most is the amount of people that think they can get anything out of life for nothing. It really bothers me. Like, be truthful to yourself about your limitations and figure out the most effective way to work on these limitations, if that makes sense. It does. That's a wonderful thing to say. Be truthful to yourself about your limitations, which means you have to recognize that you have them in the first place. And then you have to be able to specify what those limitations actually are. Okay. And then figure out the most effective way to work on these limitations. That means improve yourself, which again requires effort. So if you're a lazy bitch that doesn't want to work on yourself, then you're never going to go anywhere in life, unless you're a Nepo baby. Then you're not attached to reality in any way, shape, or form. Low spec Linux laptop says, I've tried to hire people to help pound tires for my house. Couldn't find people that were willing to work that hard. It's really hard to find people to work that hard these days. And honestly, the laziness of your average adult and or young adult, specifically in the young adult region, you know, like they're like, oh my gosh, I can make $1 million doing this. Why would I do that? Maybe I'll just invent an app. Yeah. Do you have any idea how much fucking effort that goes into that? Like, and people who say it's easy are the most insane, out of touch people ever. They just fucking crazy. You know, and going back to Zombie Box's reviews, most people aren't willing to recognize that they have limitations in the first place. You know, they're like, oh, well, that won't stop me. Like, you know, it used to be a limitation that men couldn't participate in women's sports, but apparently if you strap a set of tits on some random guy, it makes him a dude. Does that sound like reality? Sounds like a delusion to me. It's really strange to think that you might be the only person who's actually attached to reality, or you might be detached completely from the actual reality and not even know it. But that questioning is what the machine as a whole wants you to do. Because if you're scared and you're not sure, you're malleable. And if you're malleable, good little sheep, come get sheared. We need your fleece to pull over your eyes. Indeed. In order to actually face your reality, you need to have psychological and mental hardiness. Meaning that you actually have to do an internal evaluation on where your weaknesses are. And you have to recognize that they need to change. And if you don't know how to change them, you need to find someone Who could possibly point you in the right direction? Because again, that's all self-effort. If you want to change your reality for what it is, then you need to work hard. That pisses a lot of people off, that whole work hard thing. Work smart, not hard. Fuck you, work both. The smarter you work, the harder you should be able to work. Okay. If you can think of a better way to do it, that means you can get more done in that time frame, not have more time off. It's like Polly from Latino Slant has said about becoming an actor. And it really applies to every aspect of your life. And that's, you have to mitigate your downtime so that you can dedicate to skill development and interpersonal development as well, but internal development of character and stuff. You know, that stuff that most people seem to lack greatly these days. Character, you know, dedication. I won't speak to consistency because that's not my bag. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff that goes into making reality enjoyable. But you have to be able to recognize the fact that reality is real. It is what you can see. It is what you can touch. It's what you experience. But it is not what you think. Because thoughts are fucked up. Reality is often not what you remember. Because memory is fucked up. Reality is almost literally defined by your physical circumstances and your reactions to it. Okay? All of which is under your control. So they say reality can be whatever you want. I say reality can be whatever you want within reason and with the adequate amount of effort. That's where everybody fails. Effort, effort, effort. I don't know if this even made any sense during the last 47 minutes that I've been but I don't know. I had a good time killing an hour. It was fun, I suppose. And I know we still got 13 minutes left. So what the hell are we going to fill the rest of these 13 minutes with? I don't know. Honestly. I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone watching live right now. The reality of that situation is, honestly, this is more turnout than I'm used to. Yeah. Like I'm getting a decent amount of people, comparatively speaking. I used to get like 4. Now I've got at least 7. We'll see what YouTube actually says about how many people are watching. Because the last live stream that I did, the YouTube analytics says I have 4 likes on it. And actual thing, I have 15. That's weird. But it says 9 people are watching right now. So hopefully that's true. But hey, what's up, everybody? Not used to that kind of viewership. It's kind of crazy. Zombie Box Reviews says, I have a mild disability that affects my ability to express myself in a clear and precise manner. I'm not going to use it as an excuse to say, poor me, I can't do such because of my disability. See, and then that's another thing you have to be able to take into account is your actual, like, if you have disabilities. Like, I suffer from mild cognitive decline. It's caused by a lot of different things. The weed does not help, but it is not a primary, not the primary contributor, if you will. Christian Delorme says, that made lots of sense to me. I live my life and raise my children that way. Nice. Zombie Box says, I work around that. That's good. You have to sometimes find workarounds. He says, I've got 9 viewers on my screen too. Nice. I'm glad to see that YouTube has consistency somewhere. But again, I can't speak to consistency because I'm consistently inconsistent. That's about the only consistency that I can have, is being inconsistent. At least according to my roommate, you know. That's funny. And you guys have no idea why. He might be watching right now. We're really good friends, so I flip him off all the time just because. And I'm not like a CNN anchor, so I can do that without getting in trouble. LOL. Yeah. Ow. Itchy. My leg itches. Christian Delorme says, another pet peeve of mine. People are not modest anymore. Nobody knows their limitations. This is true. Modesty is something that died. Modesty and humility in general. And I don't know if I'm a modest person. Most people can't really make that a subjective self-report on whether or not you're modest. Because if you come out and say you're modest, you're being slightly immodest. It's like Drax, like, I am a completely humble individual, incredibly humble individual, or like that's immodest. And there's no modesty these days. There's none. Like, people are either grandiose or defeatists, catastrophizers. Like, what happened to the in-between, guys? Like, modesty and altruism are damn near mythical creatures at this point. And that's not okay. Just saying. Anyway, that just reminded me of the first time I asked Comics if I could vape on his stream. He's like, as long as you don't blow it directly into the microphone, it's fine. And I'm like, oh, the microphone? So I can do this and it'll be fine? Cool smoke effects, bro. Wow. Anyway, Zombiebox Review says that's why they live a miserable life. They are living in a denial instead of acknowledging their limitations. Yep, they are. And instead of acknowledging their limitations, they are also misplacing blame and responsibility. My life has taught me one thing, and that's I am responsible for 100% of my fucking actions. Holy shit. Sure, some things are accidental. Like prom babies. But if we're being honest, accidents are still something you have to take responsibility for. Reality sucks. It's not like Thanos. Reality can be whatever I want. No.
No. No, that's not how that works, you moron.
Reality is reality. It has to be based in reality. Otherwise, it's delusion. I've used that word a lot today. Delusion. It seems to be going around a lot. Delusional, crazy ass people. Psychos. I did, by the way, get that Psychology of Entertainment book, and I made it through the first chapter on motivation. And I only learned one thing that I had never considered before regarding entertainment and motivation to consume. And that's the role of competence. A person has to feel competent in the media that they're consuming, meaning that regardless of whether they find it challenging or not, they have to believe that they can get through it and understand all of the process of it. And I never thought about that. Especially when it comes to video games and stuff. But that was the one thing I learned from the first chapter of that textbook. I am now moving on to the second chapter, which is selection processes, which is way more my speed than motivation. Let's be honest. Christian Delorme says, and I blame most midlife crisis for men and women on lack of reality. Indeed. It's I would modify that slightly by saying that midlife crises come from a lack of acceptance towards their reality and the longing for more. Because a lot of the times when you see people in a midlife crisis, they're in their 40s, maybe their 50s, sometimes their 30s, just depends. But what it is they feel like they should have more in their life or have accomplished more in their life than they have. And they can't accept the reality that what they've done is, in fact, good enough. Because if it's like when you're in the stagnation phase and you're asking yourself, is what I'm doing good enough? Is what I'm doing enough? Etc., etc. Your subjective report is almost always going to tell you no. So you have to go to external subjective reports on whether or not your life has actually had a positive effect or is fulfilling, etc., etc. Now, of course, if you have a shitty, toxic motherfuckers in your life that constantly tell you no, nothing you do is ever good enough, then you can't believe these reports. But in my case, I constantly feel like I'm not achieving anything, and I should have probably done more by now in my life. You know, I'm starting that midlife crisis, right? But I have to step back and look at, like, is my life in constant chaos? No. Am I homeless? No. Is my family happy? Yes. Okay, so the reality of it is I don't necessarily need to do more with my life. It is fulfilling at the moment. The reality of my life is that things are good. But people often don't understand that needs and wants are two different things. They're both motivated by a biological process of some kind most of the time, or an intrinsically motivated goal. But when you actually break it down, fulfillment in your life drives almost completely to want, not need. There are some cases where this is not true and the needs are not being met and therefore your life is not fulfilled, but that's a slightly different conversation. When people go through a midlife crisis, they oftentimes feel as though they should have or deserved to have more in their life, more money, more stuff, prettier wife, whatever. And that comes from a detachment with what their reality actually is. If you're a 40-year-old guy who's overweight and works mid-level management job, then you probably shouldn't expect or want to be able to go out and find yourself a supermodel or something along those lines. Not immediately. Because let's be honest, supermodels don't like dad bods. They like fat wallets. But anyway. Zombiebox Reviews says, even when they do manage to achieve their dreams, it rarely lives up to the reality of how they managed it would be. This is true. Expectations rarely live up to reality. And that's where we actually have to start curbing our expectations of reality. Because most people will try to measure success in their life in large chunks, when success should be measured as minutely as possible so that every success is actually a recognizable and celebratory success. Because if you expect your successes to be too big, you're constantly disappointed. If you have no expectations of success, then you stagnate yourself and you don't have the motivation to push yourself to achieve. It's kind of weird, but your reality takes effort. Christian Delorme says, not part of the conversation, but the more I see you without a beard, the more you remind me a bit of Geddy Lee of Rush. I've heard that before, actually. I think there was a meme that they face swapped me with him, and most of the people there were like, is that the same dude? That's the same dude. Why does it look like Cory? What? Yeah. So, but I'll take it. I'll take that. Geddy Lee from Rush. Rush is a great band. They're fantastic. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and wind down now. So make sure you join us tonight, Dick's News US. Hopefully I'll have some decent news stories that aren't all politically motivated and shit. But yeah. And then, of course, Monday Meltdown over on Comics Division's channel, where will be talking about something. Something. I have no idea what it is. I just don't know. Okay. But anyway, I'm going to get going so I can go record some music as well. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, stay sexy. Don't get murdered. And as always, have a wonderful time.